Have you ever stopped to consider that the words running through your head right now, not the ones you're saying out loud, but the ones beneath that, the constant inner stream, are literally constructing the physical world you're going to walk into tomorrow? Not metaphorically, not as a nice inspirational idea, literally, mechanically, by law. And here's the thing that gets me every time I sit with this. The people who knew how this worked really knew at a technical, operational level. They didn't broadcast it. They passed it down in secret, in mystery schools, in closed room initiations, in degree systems where you only got the real information once you'd earned a certain level of trust. And the reason most of us are out here struggling, grinding, white-knuckling our way through life, hoping things change, is because we were handed a completely different rule book. One that leaves out the most important parts. Today, that changes. My name is Daniel Moreno, and I want to start with something that honestly rearranged my thinking the first time I really absorbed it. And I mean absorbed it, not just heard it. There's a difference, and we'll come back to that. The concept is called infinite action. Now, before your eyes glaze over because it sounds like one of those vague motivational phrases, let me tell you what it actually means, because it is nothing like what you're picturing. Infinite action is not about doing more. It's not a hustle harder philosophy. It's pointing at something that is already happening to you, whether you're aware of it or not, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including the 8 hours you're asleep. This idea was something Manly P. Hall, who is one of the most serious researchers of esoteric and Freemasonic knowledge who ever lived. The guy literally worked his way to a 33rd degree Masonic level, specifically so he could document and reveal what was being taught in there. He identified infinite action as one of the first and most fundamental concepts initiates were introduced to. And what it comes down to is this. You are always in action on the non-physical plane of your existence. Your thoughts are action. Your emotions are action. The mental and spiritual dimensions of you are constantly in motion, constantly emitting, constantly interacting with reality, and reality is constantly responding. Now here's where it gets important, because this is the part that was deliberately left out of the education most of us received. You are not just a physical body. I know. That sounds like something you'd find on a motivational poster, but stay with me, because the mechanics of this are actually specific. According to Hermetic wisdom, which formed the philosophical backbone of a lot of what was taught in these ancient mystery schools, you are a three-part being. You have the physical, which is your body, your five senses, your experience of the material world. You have the mental, which is your thoughts, your mental imagery, your internal narrative. And you have the spiritual, which is your emotional state, your energy in motion, literally the word emotion, and your degree of connection to something larger than yourself, whatever you want to call that. Source, God, infinite intelligence, the universe. The name honestly doesn't matter. We're pointing at the same thing. And here's the ratio that genuinely stopped me in my tracks the first time I encountered it. The physical dimension of reality, the stuff you can touch and see and measure, accounts for something like 0.00001% of what actually exists. The non-physical, the mental and spiritual planes, account for essentially all of it. The rest, 99.999%. And yet we were trained systematically to treat the physical as the only thing that's real and the only lever we have to pull. Think about what that means. If you're trying to change your life by only working on the physical level, you are ignoring the plane of existence that makes up essentially everything. You're trying to steer a ship by adjusting one small rope on the deck while ignoring the rudder. No wonder so many people feel stuck. They're following a rule book that has the most important chapters torn out. And this is where the principle of correspondence comes in. As above, so below. As below, so above. It's a Hermetic axiom, ancient, but it's practically describing something neurological when you actually test it. All three parts of you, physical, mental, spiritual, are in constant correspondence with each other. Change one, you change the others. I remember a period when I was going through a rough stretch personally. Nothing was clicking, my thinking was scattered and mostly negative, and I started noticing, actually tracking, the kinds of thoughts I was running on repeat each day. Same fears, same doubts, different days, same playlist. And then I started asking, Okay, if these planes are in correspondence, what's the physical reality corresponding to this mental state? And the answer was obvious and kind of uncomfortable. It matched perfectly. The external mess was a printout of the internal one. So infinite action means you're never off the clock on these non-physical planes, which, when you first hear it, might feel like pressure. But flip it around. It also means you have far more leverage over your reality than anyone ever told you. And that leverage starts with where your thoughts are pointed, right now, today, in this moment. Okay, so let's push this further, because infinite action and correspondence explain the what. You are always emitting, always in non-physical action, and all three parts of you are talking to each other. But the why it matters, the reason this should completely reorganize how you approach your daily life, that comes from what I personally think is the most underrated and most misunderstood of all the principles taught in these traditions: cause and effect. Now, when most people hear cause and effect, they immediately go to the physical. I do a thing happens as a result. Simple Newtonian mechanics. And yes, that's real. Cause and effect operates on the physical plane. But that's maybe 0.00001% of how it actually works. See what I did there? The thing these mystery school traditions understood, the thing being taught in these closed circles while the rest of the population was being handed a simplified and frankly disempowering version of reality, is that cause and effect operates on all planes: mental, spiritual, physical. And critically, the causes you create on the mental and spiritual planes create the effects you experience in the physical world. Let me say that again in plain language, because it's that important. What you are consistently thinking, what you are consistently feeling, the emotional frequency you are operating from most of the time, those are the causes. The physical circumstances of your life, your finances, your relationships, your health, the opportunities that show up or don't, those are the effects. The physical world is downstream. It is a subset taking its cues from the superset, which is the non-physical part of reality. This is the complete inversion of how we were taught to think. We were taught, change the physical, feel better. Get the job, then feel secure. Get the money, then feel abundant. Meet the right person, then feel loved. And when it doesn't work, when the job doesn't fix the anxiety, when the money doesn't fill the gap, we think something is wrong with us. Nothing is wrong with you. You're just running the sequence backwards. I actually want to tell you about a coaching client I worked with. This person had been in a business that was hemorrhaging money, deeply in debt, genuinely in a crisis. And when we started working together, the first thing I did was almost nothing physical. I mean, we didn't immediately overhaul the business strategy or whatever. What we did was go to the causes. The mental plane, the emotional frequency, the internal narrative they were running, which was essentially a loop of, this can't work, this won't work, I don't deserve this to work. And within about 6 weeks, which, yeah, sounds like I'm making that up, but it's just what happened, the physical started shifting. Business turned around dramatically. And it wasn't magic. It was cause and effect, running in the direction it's actually designed to run. The universe, and I mean this very specifically, does not have a human moral judgment system. It is not keeping a scorecard on whether you've been good enough, or worked hard enough, or suffered enough to deserve good things. It is not punishing you for your past. It is simply responding to what you are broadcasting on those two non-physical planes, mental and spiritual, and then producing corresponding physical effects, which honestly should be the most empowering thing you've heard in a while. Because it means the moment you start genuinely shifting how you think and how you feel, not performing positivity, not slapping affirmations over a foundation of fear, but actually doing the work to change what's happening on those planes, the physical world has no choice but to begin responding differently. By law, not by luck, not by coincidence, by the same principle of cause and effect that these traditions have been tracking and teaching for thousands of years. I'll also say this, and look, I know some people hear secret societies, and their brain immediately goes to conspiracy territory. And I get it. I've been down that rabbit hole too. Probably a few too many late nights if I'm honest. But here's the thing that I keep coming back to. This knowledge didn't originate with the people who kept it hidden. They discovered it. They studied it. They codified it. But they don't own it. They never owned it, and it works exactly as well for you as it does for anyone who's ever been initiated into any degree of anything. These principles are universal. They're impersonal. They don't check your membership card before they activate. So the practical question is, if cause and effect means the mental and spiritual planes are generating your physical reality, what are you going to do with that? What are you doing with your 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts today? What's the emotional frequency, the energy and motion that you're predominantly operating from? Because that is the cause. And your life, as it is right now, is the current effect. Here's the third piece of this, and in some ways, it's the most immediately hopeful, though I want to be careful not to water it down into a feel-good platitude, because it's actually a precise principle. Everything vibrates. Everything moves. Nothing in this reality, physical or non-physical, is actually static. This is Hermetic law. It was ancient knowledge, and it also happens to align almost perfectly with what modern physics has confirmed, that at the subatomic level, matter is not solid stuff sitting still, it is energy in constant motion, vibrating at different frequencies. Different rates of vibration produce different experiences of physical reality. Now here's why this matters so much in the context of what we've been talking about. You know how some people seem to be caught in a cycle? Like the same bad circumstances keep repeating. Different year, different details, same basic pattern. Same financial pressure. Same relationship dynamic, same wall they keep hitting. And it's easy to look at that and think, well, some people just get dealt a bad hand. That's just their lot. Vibration says something completely different. It says the reason the same situation keeps showing up is because the same vibrational signal keeps being broadcast. Same thoughts. And research suggests that about 95% of the thoughts you have today are the same ones you had yesterday. Same emotional frequency, same non-physical causes, same physical effects. Not a curse, not fate. A feedback loop. And a feedback loop can be interrupted. This is genuinely one of the things I find most fascinating about these traditions. The framing is so different from the fatalistic worldview most people operate from. In the Newtonian, physical-only paradigm, if you're in a bad situation, you're kind of at the mercy of the situation. It has momentum. It has history. It feels permanent. But from the vibratory model, your current situation is just your current vibration made visible. Change the vibration, by law, new physical effects have to show up. Not might, have to. The physics of it demands a different outcome. And the beautiful thing about this is the correspondence principle makes the vibration accessible. Remember, physical, mental, and spiritual are all in correspondence, all influencing each other. Which means you don't have to figure out how to overhaul your deepest unconscious beliefs in one sitting. You can start with something physical. Change your posture right now. Seriously, shoulders back, chest open, change how you're sitting. Notice what happens to your thoughts in the next 2 minutes. Or you flip it the other direction. Change your mental input. Start directing your mental imagery toward what you actually want rather than what you're afraid of, and watch what happens to how you feel emotionally. These planes are a system. Pull one lever, the whole system responds. Now, I want to be clear about something because I've seen this go wrong for a lot of people. This is not about pretending to feel good. It's not about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts while you're terrified underneath. That doesn't work, and it's not what these traditions were teaching. What they were teaching is the actual training of the mind and emotional body. Consistent, real practice. The same way you'd train physically if you wanted to change your body. You wouldn't go to the gym once and then be confused when nothing changed. This is a practice. And the people who learned this in these mystery schools, in these degree systems, they weren't just told about the principles. They were trained, repeatedly, intensively, over time, because they understood that knowing about something and actually embodying it are completely different things. Knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. And here's where I want to land this whole thing, because there are a few ideas that are all pointing at the same operational truth. Infinite action. You are always emitting on the non-physical planes, 24/7, no exceptions. Correspondence. Physical, mental, and spiritual are in constant communication with each other. Cause and effect. What you think and feel on those non-physical planes creates the physical reality you experience. And vibration. Your current situation is your current vibrational state made visible. And vibrational states can change. These are not four separate ideas. They're one idea, looked at from four angles. And this is what was being taught while most people got a curriculum that, let's be honest, prepared them to be employees, not creators. To react to circumstances, not to generate them. To work within the physical subset, never knowing the non-physical superset even existed. You were not born with less access to this. No one is. These principles do not discriminate. They just respond. So what I'd actually invite you to do after this, and I mean right after, not someday, is sit for 5 minutes and honestly audit the dominant thoughts you've been running this week. Not the ones you'd tell people about, the real ones, the ones underneath. And then ask yourself, if those thoughts are the cause, what physical effect are they producing? What physical effect would they continue to produce if nothing changed? Because the moment you can honestly answer that question, you're no longer a passenger in your own life. You're at the controls. Thanks for watching.